Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Betsy.
It's good to have you here this afternoon. Now, we'll ask our audience to assume that we've already begun and greeted ourselves and prayed together, which we do at the beginning of our session. Of cards with pictures on them. Take them out and explore a little bit. And I'm going to ask you to quickly look through the cards and see which one set you'd like to work with today. There are sets of the images of God. There are sets of archetypal images. There are pictures of animals in the psyche, which is interesting. And
I think these look interesting.
They do, and they're not very formidable because they're on the small side.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll move this out of your way. And here's what I'd like to ask you to do. Thumb through the cards at your own pace and look for two groups. One, cards that you really are attracted to. In other words, we're looking for an emotional response here because that's a sign that you've met something in a picture that corresponds to something within you. So things that you really are attracted to, and then the other group is going to be things that you are not repulsed by, but just that don't appeal. They have a negative charge to them, okay?
Yeah.
And so make two piles there, and then we're going to bring some of them over here. And the ones that are just neutral, you can make a third pile for. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, you go ahead.
Okay.
And while you're playing with those, I will show to our audience some of the other choices you had from things in the box. And folks, you can get sets of cards, as I'm sure you know, at almost any good bookstore. Now, I'm not talking tarot cards, and people ask, are the tarot cards part of your set? And the answer is no, because while they do have wonderfully evocative pictures, they are also, they have a lot of baggage with them in people's minds that goes with fortune telling. So some spiritual directors do bring out the tarot cards, but not to fortune tell. And yet I avoid them just because they do have that negative overtone for some. Here's a set of cards that are, you probably will recognize them, the Lotteria cards from south of the border, with just people and objects that people you meet in your everyday life. Here's a bell, here's a rose, okay, here's a scorpion. So with 50-some cards, that gives people quite a few to choose from. And you'd be surprised when you're going through a group of pictures like this, the reactions that you have. Oh yes, that one really speaks to me, or no, I can't stand that one, I don't like it. And that's an important point that we can use in our spiritual direction session. I also want to show you a group of cards that have fairy tale pictures or illustrations. I'll put some of them here so you can see them. Here's a little imp of some kind. This one is the boy who has a hedgehog head and a person's body. Here's a princess being, it looks like, rescued by a handsome prince. Here's a wicked fairy placing a curse on a baby in the crib. Here's the Hansel and Gretel witch deciding to shove someone into her oven. And of course, as you know, fairy tales have archetypal scenes, archetypal personalities, archetypal feelings attached to them, which is why they have lived so long. And these are also a popular set of cards. So here's Rumpelstiltskin. And here is a father saying farewell to his daughter, or maybe saying hello. And that would depend on the person who chose it and whatever seemed appropriate for them. Let me see, do we have time for one more set that I could show you? Yes. Here's a very beautiful set. I'm digging in my box here. These are cards with Buddhist overtones that are quite dramatic pieces of art. And I find this technique very helpful with people who come for spiritual direction, but they're telling me I'm spiritual but not religious. And I think every spiritual director anywhere today has found that more and more people are showing up in our offices with that presentation. Don't talk to me with God talk, which breaks my heart because that's the kind of talk I want to use, and that's the traditional spiritual direction talk, is where is God in your life. And we do have some cards that are very specifically religious. But with people who have walked away from religion, either because they were raised in some religious collective and have decided to leave it, or they never had one, they don't want the holy language shoved at their in their face or in the pictures that they are asked to look at. So, how are you doing, Andrea?
I think I'm there.
Okay, great. All right, you've got your 2 sets there?
I do.
Good. How did that feel to go through the pictures? Were they interesting?
Yes. Yes, I had definite likes and dislikes.
Good. I was sure you would.
Yeah.
It's almost as though that set of cards chose you.
I know.
When you had 10 or so to choose from, but they said, I'm for her today.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked Andrea to just choose the one that you thought was the most powerful of the negative ones, and you chose the mask. So we're just going to put that over here and come back to it later. So what we're doing here is using the technique of projection, which is a wonderful way to find out what's going on in the soul/psyche. Psyche is the Greek word for soul, as you know. And we meet things in projection all the time. People walking down the street, TV, newspaper, any place that we are, that we're going to be attracted to or repelled by something. And the emotional charge is what tells us this is important. This can be a clue about something I need to pay attention to. So projection is the extroverted way of accessing the unconscious, if you will. Mm-hmm. And the dreams are the introverted way, which is really easier because you're sent the dream. We don't have to do any hunting. But I try to remember for myself and for others, if something out here, whether it's a picture or something on TV or whatever, really grabs me, or I'm really off-put by it and repelled by it, that's a clue about something I need to pay attention to in the soul. So that's what we're doing. I know you know that, but this is just for the tape. Why don't we put the positive pictures out now?
I found lots of those. I had to put some back.
Figured
I was not being selective enough.
There. Okay.
So I picked a morning, wing, root, rain, fog, and water.
Oh, how interesting. Well, I have a lot of reactions, but I want to hear yours instead of mine. So why don't you just talk about them?
Well, they mostly have to do with the natural world.
Yes.
Which is super important to me.
Yes.
And roots have a connotation as well of being grounded, being stable, the good things about having roots. And wings are like sort of the other end of that, being able to fly.
Yes,
and
okay.
I love birds. I love plants. I'm definitely a morning person. And I also love lots of things to do with water.
Yes.
So these all have to do with moisture for me.
They do. I'm struck by how you have wings and roots next to each other, and one is about going up and
Yeah.
one is about going down.
Yeah.
So it's like you can unite those two in your life, the higher and the deeper.
Yeah.
Would you like to put these in some kind of order that seems logical to you? Or maybe they already are.
I think this seems a natural order.
Okay. If I asked you to choose the one that has the most emotional impact for you, which card might you choose?